Hello and welcome to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here with another kind of quasi-country guide, but more importantly an achievement guide on how to get the Uncommonwealth achievement. As Lithuania become the Commonwealth. I managed to do it in 1543, probably could have done a little bit faster and better, but it was a lot harder than I expected it. So, first off, you have to do it as Lithuania rather than Poland, which means early on you cannot rely on the succession event in Poland to get your ruler onto the throne of Poland. You can get the dynasty, at least what I found. You can get the dynasty on there, which then will allow you to claim throne and invade. However, actually not much has changed in this area of the world since the beginning. It's first important to note that Lithuania has barely any more development than Poland does. So it's a pretty even fight. However, at the beginning, Poland has a march in Moldova and has, what is this, Mazova up here and scattered about. You do have a stronger military at the beginning. You can pretty much support, I'm pretty sure this is the same 28 units I've pretty much had the whole time, right here, with the addition of a cannon. You have better troops. You actually start out with a ruler, so you can actually get a substantial lead on Poland. First thing you want to do, you want to focus military power because you really need that level 4 military tech spike. Then you want to try and ally everybody around Poland. Hopefully Poland doesn't get a giant ally as in like Hungary or Austria. I found people that were pretty good to ally. Surprisingly, the Livonian Order was relatively friendly, as was Bohemia. If I hadn't gotten Bohemia, I could probably gotten Austria. Another one I got was Brandenburg, and I actually allied the Teutonic Order. And because I allied them and rivaled the people around them, Poland actually only had one ally, which was Mecklenburg in my game. I did test in a couple other ones, and Poland doesn't tend to have lots of allies until it becomes Poland-Lithuania, when they control Lithuania. Then you pretty much need a royal marriage with them. But then when the time comes, you pretty much claim their throne, and you'll get a claim to take their land and get a union over them. And then, of course, you have to conquer them, which is very difficult. The best thing I found to do was pretty much beeline straight for Warsaw and Plock up here, even though the Polish capital is not Warsaw at the beginning, it's Krakow. Once you take these two forts here, then you can kind of... For some reason, the AI tends to siege down all of southern Lithuania here, which is terrible land. I'll go into how to stay stable there later on. But if you take these two provinces, they tend to pull out, wanting to retake them. And of course, once you take Warsaw, pretty much send one army down to Krakow. I was able to separate into two separate armies, got a morale advisor, got a half-decent general in charge, and the time it took for the event to fire, I was drilling my army on the border of Poland, so I got that initial advantage. You do have to be rather tricky because neither you or Poland really have any particular starting advantages in terms of war. You get greater manpower recovery speed, which I guess is okay. And you get tolerance of heretics, which is nice considering half of your land, more than this, starts as Orthodox, which is its own problem. Once you win the war with Poland, you're going to have to keep Poland happy, which is very difficult from what I found. You lose all your trust with them. They don't like you. They're rather large. If you leave them alone too long, they can get support of independence. Pretty much I had to station a diplomat permanently on Poland just to keep them at 100% relations. And then I had to do interactions. Obviously, Novgorod's a vassal here. And I had to do union. I did support loyalists, which unfortunately hurts your economy badly as Lithuania because you're in very bad shape as Lithuania to begin with. I will just put it a side note here. Lithuania was one of my least favorite playing experiences in Europa. It's boring. It's unexciting. You're having rebel corruption and economy problems like you wouldn't believe. I could have probably reduced some of my military to stabilize it more, but I needed it high to maintain control of Poland. Since I didn't take any land, and you don't really want to because then Poland keeps getting those annoying events as the province that we own is their core by rights and they demand it back, which makes them unhappy. You can't afford those events. Other problems with Lithuania, pretty much no one will ally you. You know, opinion-wise, let's see, where's opinion? Opinion-wise, most people in Europe kind of like me. I mean, obviously these two are allies. Everyone else kind of likes you. Problem being, pretty much no one will ally you that actually matters. Actually, in this case, Burgundy will, but they just lost a war. Pretty much, it's almost impossible to get an alliance with Austria, Hungary, or anyone this way. I almost got one with the Ottomans, but again, it's the Ottomans. They don't really like people. They tend not to really hate Lithuania because Poland is kind of a buffer state between you. Novgorod, pretty much you want to try and get them as your ally immediately. If not, they will very quickly rival you and want your land. So, because they get events of their mission tree that give them claims on your lands, which is kind of a pain. So let's see what else. You have 4 forts at the beginning of the game. Honestly, you could probably get rid of this fort. I left it up here so I could show people. And they will be the biggest drain on your money you will ever see. 2 gold per month. You don't make a lot. This is with a couple edicts and laws and everything passed, and I'm still losing money with mothballed forts. I'd have to mothball my army. Obviously, I just annexed Poland, so that messes everything up. So you want to make sure those are mothballed most of the time. I haven't found that Russia or Muscovy is that Western expansion focused early on. Of course, I wouldn't risk it. An alliance with the Livonians are pretty good. If you have the Teutons and you've got Poland as a union, your alliance block is actually rather large here. You think it'd be a lot stronger, but it really isn't. Russia, of course, and Muscovy are hard to kill. And there's the fact that every time you fight a war, you're going to lose all this land here, which isn't as bad as it sounds. Excuse me. Because almost none of this land down here is in states. Yes, that's right. You have a lot of starting land as Lithuania. Most of it is actually not part of states. It is also some of the worst land in the game. Lots of level 3s. The highest in some of these areas is 5. Every once in a while you'll get like a province like Kiev with 10. Other than that, it's really bad. I think your capital starts as like 15 or something. Oh, it starts around 20. I guess that's not bad. Other than that, though, your land is terrible. As you can see, I did develop both the Renaissance and colonialism here because I got fed up with waiting. And at that point, I couldn't get the monarch points fast enough until the institutions were already spread enough that the penalty to actually get tech wasn't worth doing. On the other hand, developing these provinces pretty much gives you the money you need to stay vaguely stable, but you will be pretty much steadily bleeding money, unfortunately. There's no real way to boost money. There's not really much you can do. There's no real profitable trade node you can seize unless you conquer like the Teutons and expand into the Baltic, which you can do. If I was playing a little bit more aggressive with better ideas, I probably would have, but not really. Other things to note are, since most of your land is Orthodox, at the beginning I think you've got like 43% religious unity or something. It's absolutely atrocious. And it will be giving you corruption, and if you're even the slightest bit unstable, like you got low legitimacy, or you're even instability, you will get rebels like crazy. You've got 3 different culture groups in your area, only which I think 2, actually 1 you start out tolerant of. One of the first things you need to do is go and embrace the next one, so that they like you, and then once you get another chance, embrace the next one. And then you might be vaguely stable. So one trick to get around that is use your edicts, if you can, to enforce religious unity, and use that to at least convert the land around Lithuania, if nowhere else. Like, this is core modern-day Lithuania up here. Work on doing that. That way it at least gives you a stable position when you're constantly having to fight all the rebels. That way they don't pop up right next to your capital and cause chaos. Other problems I noticed at the beginning, your estates are a nightmare to begin with. It's not entirely clear from this map. This gives you an idea of where they were. Your nobles start off with, I think it was close to 40% of your development in their states, which means their actual influence, just from the base level, is about 50. As you can see, this is pretty low. So you can't really even do a diet. You can, but then you're risking in a single event or 2 that can just push you over the edge and cause aristocratic coup. In fact, the initial level is higher. It's like 55. And you have to then probably revoke land from states. I got around it by revoking lands, fighting the states, and then developing provinces. So it's kind of pulled the influence of the estate down over time and actually allowed me to, fund my military. Next things to do not do what I did. Do not do it. Do not take aristocratic ideas. Such a dumb move. You'd think aristocratic ideas might be pretty good, what with better cavalry, and your easterns who can have more cavalry, cheaper tech, autonomy change, manpower, all the standard stuff. Aristocratic, it's terrible. Take defensive. It really doesn't help you much. You're going to be struggling with manpower even if you get serfdom. It's really painful. It's much better to have the bonus morale. Quality doesn't work really either. You don't have the morale. A lot of these nations around here will either take a morale idea or get a discipline advisor at the wars, which makes your wars really back and forth. You never know if you're going to win. If they get one modifier in an event, it can swing the entire war in their favor. Vice versa. I found it much better to have a defensive idea. Obviously, I didn't do that in this one. This one I was trying to see why you'd want to use aristocratic ideas. The answer is you don't really. Not at least unless you've already got other modifiers in your country, which sadly Lithuania doesn't. They get 1 leader shock and recovery of manpower, and that's it. Until they get to cavalry combat, even that's not good. And then their finishing idea is one of the more useless ideas, finishers I've ever seen, land maneuver. So you don't have a lot of military ideas as them. In fact, Poland has got about 3 times stronger ideas than Lithuania does, which is why I guess it's called the Uncommonwealth achievement. So essentially take defensive. For the second idea, you might actually want to do humanist depending on how your conversion of the Orthodox lands is going. I got really unlucky and kept popping 2 administrative inquisitors, which are the missionary strength advisors. So I kept running into the issue as there's no way for me to actually convert these provinces. Even with the edicts, it was slow. It caused problems. Of course, since your control of the provinces is low to begin with, imagine no tolerance there at all. All of a sudden, -3 stability as well, minus the 2 traditions. You're barely stable as it is. Add a missionary, that's 6 unrest. You start to see the issue. Plus, if you're fighting wars, the war I initially fought against Poland had rebels everywhere. I had to spend maybe 20 years repairing the country. That was, totally mothballed army. All my forts mothballed as well. No advisors, and developing provinces just to vaguely stay even. And the problem is you have to pretty much be able to fund a diplomatic advisor with Diplo reputation to keep Poland under control and stay up in Diplo tech. Your starting ruler sucks at military. It's a 441 Kazimir Jagellon, the standard guy. Helps with diplomatic. Even if you focus it, you're still going to slowly fall behind in military, especially to Muscovy and even to Poland to some degree. As unstable as they are, Poland and Lithuania are probably the 2 least stable countries at the beginning of the game in some ways. You're going to fall behind in military. You're going to have lots of revolts. The 15% manpower recovery must be a godsend because otherwise you would just die. You'd have no military. All the time you start out with no tradition. You're fighting so many rebellions you can never really build army tradition. Or professionalism, I should say. And without the recovery, I don't know what you do. The problem is your overall manpower pool is so small. The boost you get is maybe like 30 or 40 more than usual at the beginning. The nice thing is, since your nobility have that much influence, if they really like you, you do recover manpower a lot faster, which is not really that useful in the long run. So you also, as Lithuania, have essentially no missions. This is the Commonwealth mission tree. The only one you have is to conquer the Livonian Order. I found it was better to ally them than conquer them, because if you ally them, at least they will keep this area stable. They can usually fend off Denmark with your help, and they've proved to be a pretty good bulwark against Russia expansionism. Riga's not a bad ally if you can get it. Oddly enough, they never wanted to ally me. Rather strange. And if you keep them as friends and you control Poland, this area is relatively stable. You can ally the Teutons. They're actually rather strong if you don't kill them initially. They will keep sending troops. They've got good forts. They're pretty much one of the only countries that will support you. Denmark hates you from the beginning. It's annoying. So once you get probably defensive, you don't want quantity. You do not want quantity. You need a military combat modifier because Muscovy has one, Hungary has one, the Teutons have them, Sweden has them. You're pretty much the only one in the area that doesn't have a combat modifier. Of course, the Ottomans have them. So other strategies you can do as Lithuania is you can also expand into the Crimea region. I really couldn't because of how hard it is to contain Poland. But you need to be able to get the Union, and the only way you can get the Union is get your dynasty on the throne and then immediately claim the throne and declare war. If you wait, it's a matter of luck until the throne becomes open again, and then you have to have the same dynasty, which is rather difficult. For some reason, since you can't get royal marriages, your dynasty here dies out quite a bit. I think I'm on my third dynasty, the Hohenzollerns. I think I had the Wittenbergs on my throne for a while. It's weird. Yeah, pretty much. I never took off focused military. And of course, if you lose your dynasty, then you have to strengthen your government, so that way you don't have rebellions left and right. Once you get humanist ideas, once you get to the third one with tolerance of heretics and then reduced unrest, you actually become stable. It's amazing. You go from barely getting by to all of a sudden being able to rebuild without much trouble. Obviously, money is still an issue. But if you've taken defensive and gone down it, you should hit the Magdeburg laws. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get to Magnate Estates, although you'll have to complete the tree. The 10% tax doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot when you've got nothing. At this point, though, I've got extra territories. You could add the states in, you'd probably recover. But you don't have any other states to start with, so you're rather limited in your money. You have to defend a large area. Luckily, nobody really comes after you. The hordes are content to leave you alone. You can get a couple allies. With Poland, you're pretty strong, assuming Poland's loyal. And then it's just a matter of time of waiting. You need to get to Admin Tech 10. You need to have 3 stability. You have to make sure Poland hasn't grown to 21 cities. If they annex their vassals, they have 18. You do not feed Poland lands, otherwise you'll have a problem. Especially since I don't think you can seize lands from unions. I snagged Novgorod here when they were almost dead by attacking Luki here. And I did that mainly to try and prevent Russia from wiping them out and getting large. In retrospect, really didn't do anything. I think they improved their province once through an event, and that was it. They had no troops, nothing, but it does stop, of course, Danish and Swedish expansion in this region. And then you wait, and then you get the achievement, and then all of a sudden you actually become a viable nation. However, if you want to form the Commonwealth, go do it as Poland, because you're still stuck with Lithuanian ideas. You don't have the opportunity to convert to Polish ideas. You'd have to kill Poland, form Poland, then do the Commonwealth, which obviously won't get you the achievement. So that's pretty much how you get the Uncommonwealth. It's not a fun achievement. Playing with Lithuania is not really that fun because you have to spend all your time controlling Poland. If you gave up on Poland, then you could probably expand into Russia and the steppes a bit, but you'll still run across the problem. In fact, your religious issues will only get worse because they'll be expanding further into Orthodox and Sunni land. Usually Lithuania either collapses or gets absorbed into Poland. You'll probably see that if you play enough Europa anyway. It's not really fun. Relatively difficult achievement. I thought it would be easier. It takes a couple starts to actually win the war with Poland because they're virtually on par with you military. The only advantage you have is you might get a better advisor and you can be better at maneuvering and focusing on goals than the AI. So anyway, that's my guide to how to get the Uncommonwealth achievement. Obviously, things are changing in the upcoming Dharma patch, so some things might change, but overall, the strategy should be sound onto how to kill Poland. Well, not kill them, union them. Don't forget to union them. I did once. So you feel really stupid when you do it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Any questions, comments below, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Please subscribe if you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed. Check out all my other guide videos and check out my pretty much daily Europa Let's Play videos. And I hope to see you guys all in another video then. Bye for now.